Hey, this is Danny from Scare Talk. Before we get into all the horror greatness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the host site that we use to record our podcast. Anchor will upload your podcast to Apple and Spotify and many other listening platforms. Anchor is completely free, and you can download the app or go to the website, anchor.fm, and you can record straight on there. There's also some cool editing tools that you can use. Did I mention that it's free? Yeah, so if you want to make a podcast, Anchor is the way to go. Go check it out. Now, for the spooky stuff. Okie dokie. This is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with Jet Flying Joel.
Hey guys, what's up? Oh man, I like that one.
Yeah, you're jet flying and profiling.
Jet flying. Oh yeah.
So today we are again recording remotely, getting the kinks worked out here.
Yeah.
All right, so today we're going to talk about Saint Maud. This one was made in 2019. It was supposed to be released 2020. And I think it actually was released in 2019 in the UK. I know it was released in other countries before it came to the States. But this one just came out in 2021. So,
yes,
Joel, who do we have in this bad boy?
All right, so this one and I'm not gonna get this person's name right. I know that for a fact. Morfydd, Morfydd Clark. She was in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Crawl. Never saw that one, but
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
In Zombies, yeah.
You never saw that?
All one. No, I never saw that one. We should definitely do a podcast on it, though. Crawl, The Man Who Invented Christmas, which is a Charles Dickens story. Jennifer L., she played Amanda. She was in Zero Dark 30, Contagion, RoboCop, and 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay.
And then Joy, which was her quote-unquote friend, I guess. Lily Knight. She was in Identicals, Their Finest. Yeah, Their Finest. And just short films and TV shows, like 1 or 2 episodes of TV shows.
Okay.
So, and then it was written and directed by Rose Glass. She wrote A Moment of Horror, it's a short, Room 55, a short, and The Silken Strand, a short. And she also directed all 3 of those as well. So this is pretty much her first, I guess, feature film movie. So
okay, cool. Yeah. Well, this one follows a pious nurse who becomes dangerously obsessed with saving the soul of her dying patient. All right. So, first of all, I loved this movie. I thought it was pretty well done. Just right off the bat, I'm going to say some of the better acting I've seen in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever her name is, Morpheus. She was amazing. She was pretty much in every scene of this movie and very much the focal point. Like the camera was on her for 99% of the movie.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like that's hard to, to accomplish such a strong role when you're on camera like the whole time. And it's a lot of like close-ups and you could just feel her character. The atmosphere was awesome. The tone of the whole movie was really dark and just there wasn't a ton going on, but the way that the movie felt was what really like kept me invested. It's a slow movie, say,
slow burn,
for sure. But it's not boring. Something I've been trying to do, and I've found this to be almost better when watching horror movies, is I've been watching them on my phone with my headphones in, and you really can pick up on the atmosphere when you're doing that.
Yeah,
and
you got all the sound and everything just in your ears. So.
yeah. So I mean, maybe putting it on TV with like Bluetooth connected headphones or something would be cool. But this movie, like, I watched this at like, I don't know, 8:00 in the morning, headphones on and everything, and you know, I wasn't bored, tired, you know, I wasn't distracted. It was good. It really kept my attention. So that's something I really liked. I really loved the end as well. And I do want to kind of talk about the end and some of the themes maybe that this movie was going for. One of them definitely being, you know, mental illness, I think was pretty strong theme.
Yeah. That's definitely a strong theme in this movie for sure.
Yeah. And I liked that. And the music was good. The trailer kind of gave you a feel as to what the music is going to sound like, the score. And it, you know, a lot of times there's trailers and the score in the trailer sounds way better than the actual score of the movie, where it like kind of gets you excited for the movie and then it's kind of a letdown. This one, the score from the trailer was literally in the movie. So I liked that. There was a pretty good jump scare toward the end that kind of got me, and it might have been because I was wearing headphones. I'm like laying on the couch with the movie on with my headphones, and my dog is like laying toward my feet, and that scene happens, and he jumps up and starts barking. Like, he can hear it through my headphones, and it like startled him even.
Oh wow. Nice. He's just like listening to the movie while he's just chilling.
So even like the prayers that she says throughout the movie, even that is creepy. Like even her voice kind of gets a little creepy.
It does at certain points for sure.
Yeah. And just the story was good. You know, it talks about the kind of the lengths people will go to be saved or to try to save someone else. Those are all my positives.
All right. Yeah,
There's a lot.
Yeah. Well, you did say in the beginning you really liked this movie,
yes,
so there better be a lot of positives. But no, I do definitely agree that this movie was very good. It definitely the trailer really set the tone for how the movie was going to be. Before you even go into watching it. I feel like if you didn't know anything about the movie, you didn't watch any trailers, I could see it kind of being like for horror, it was definitely a slow burn.
Yeah.
It was really good. I enjoy slow burns, but for people who don't know, who go into this movie just like thinking it's about a woman, about Saint Maud, like who is this person? Without knowing anything about it, for a while, it's definitely more of a drama than anything. Before it really gets going, I feel like after that whole dinner party scene, it really started picking up momentum quite a bit.
Right. Yep.
And which that was an intense scene.
Yeah.
There were several like intense moments in this movie.
Yeah.
And that was definitely one of them. And the story about a nurse who's taking care of has a patient she's taking care of, and she wants her to be saved.
Yeah.
And so she thinks she's doing everything right according to God, and and then she goes down a completely different path.
Yeah.
Later on,
it's a good like character study type of movie. Yeah, and I guess that's what I mean. It's like very focused on her.
Yeah, it is.
And her like just her transition, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
into
Yeah.
different sides of her,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of get to see a little bit of who maybe she used to be and who
Mm-hmm.
she currently is, and kind of back and forth, and then
Yeah.
ultimately what she feels like she needs to do.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much everything you were saying. The music as well and everything, the score in this was really good. Um, yeah, the acting was amazing.
Yeah.
For with everybody,
Yeah.
and especially her, but with everyone involved, did a really good job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's those are my positives,
Okay.
main positives there.
So I don't really have any negatives. I just have some questions really that
Okay.
I don't know if I want answered, but I left kind of asking myself, and I wondered
Mm-hmm.
if, if these were answered, if it would make the movie better. Um so a couple of things we see at the very beginning that she was in some sort of situation as to where she's all bloody, sitting in the
Mm-hmm.
corner of this room, and there's like a table. I couldn't really, and again, I was watching on my phone, so maybe it's more clear on a
I
bigger
was
screen.
too, so it's
It looks like maybe there's a body on this table. You don't really see who it is or any
mm-hmm.
sort of defining features of what this mass is on this body, or on, not this body, on the table.
Mm-hmm.
You assume it's a body, and she's all bloody, and that time is hinted at throughout the movie with this person she used to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So she said it's like this, with what happened and this incident, and it's like mentioned, but you don't really get to know what actually happened and if that was even real,
Yeah.
or
Well, I
what.
feel like it was real just because her friend, or I guess ex coworker Joy,
Mm-hmm.
when they saw each other in the street,
Yeah.
and Maud goes, "Yeah, I'm a nurse," and she said something like, "They let you
Right.
they let you do that," and
Yeah.
he's like, "What? What are you talking about? I want to know what happened here."
Yeah.
There really, I feel like that had something to do with the very beginning of the movie. We just
Yeah.
don't know
We just don't know
what
what
happened.
happened. Yeah.
Maybe because with who she's taking care of, she's trying to, she's trying to save her,
Yeah.
basically. So maybe she goes to some extreme lengths to try to save this person who doesn't want to be saved, and
Yeah.
something happens.
Yeah.
They don't really go into what happened there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, so that was kind of a question I had, and I don't know if I even really want to know what happened, if the mystery of it is better. But
yeah, it doesn't matter for the story that they're
right,
telling with this
right,
one. So
right. We just know that there's something in her past.
yeah,
And so I guess the reason why I can kind of consider it a negative is what we assume from watching the movie is someone died on this table. She's all bloody by herself in this room.
mm-hmm.
So you think, okay, she killed a person. She would not be able to just be living her life, if
Yeah,
that's what happened.
unless it was deemed accidental or
right,
something.
right,
And she didn't get this job through like some agency. She got it through
right,
private.
right.
So maybe they don't know her backstory.
Sure.
Then maybe they should have done some research on her backstory. But
Yeah.
maybe they didn't, and they gave her the job. But
Yeah.
if it was deemed anything other than accidental, she'd be in jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, depending on what happens. And we don't know. Yeah, we don't even know if she was technically involved in what
Right.
happened. It's just, rumors circling around and stuff. So
Yeah. And so this movie is like some books too, where it's like there's a unreliable narrator. So we don't know if what we're seeing on the screen is actually what's happening either.
Yeah.
So we don't know if it was that intense what happened at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the movie. We don't know if that's just her reality or if it's actually reality.
Yeah.
So, because she's sitting in like the corner and it's like a dark room and there's like a body on this table and she's all bloody. So I'm like, it doesn't seem like this is in like a hospital or any sort of
No. Yeah.
medical setting. It seems like it's in like some underground dungeon, basement or something. So, yeah, I'm like, okay, what is up with that? Like what happened? So there's that, and then another kind of something I wanted to see more of was, so she goes from trying to save this lady to then
Mm-hmm.
basically being fired, and then from what I can gather is she kind of reverts back to a person she used to be. So
Mm-hmm.
because she had another name too.
Yeah, she did.
Joy was calling
She
her
wasn't
something
Maud.
else.
She was, yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but
I
it wasn't
don't remember
Maud.
what it was either.
So I'm
Yeah.
thinking she kind of goes back to whoever that person was, whoever she was then. And you just kind of start to see her, as a completely different person. Like she's going out and drinking and having like
Yeah.
meaningless sex and
Mhm.
just kind of going crazy, like letting loose,
Yeah.
like big time. And I kind of wanted to see that side of her a little more. I wanted to see like her talk to her, because she talks to herself in like a prayer form.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wanted to see her talk to herself more, like, I don't know, get a little more angry or, kind of go a little more crazy on that edge, on that side of herself. But that only lasted a little while. And then she kind of went back to being Maud, but just in a more evil way.
Yeah.
And then a couple of other things. We see a lot of like spirals and like in like drinks. So like in a glass of water, there's like this like cyclone, I guess, little mini cyclone in the water.
I remember that, yeah.
And in like different, there's like beers, and at the end, she walks out and there's like a cyclone in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other times where we see like these, I want to say they're like cockroaches or beetles or something. Multiple times we see those and they focus on that for some reason. So I'm wondering, I'm assuming there's some sort of metaphor or whatever. I'm just curious as to what it is. I'm thinking the spiral is just like her kind of spiraling
out of control.
Yeah, because it's she usually sees it when she's kind of going crazy, and it's kind of blurry and a little unbalanced and things like that. So I'm thinking that's what's happening, especially with the end where she sees the spiral in the sky is when she really loses it. So anyways, it's more questions than negatives, I guess.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. I honestly don't really have many negatives either. I really enjoyed this entire movie, from start to finish, and even the slow burn scenes, like, I didn't bother me in the slightest. I was wondering what was going to happen because I knew it was a horror movie. So in those slow moments, I thought maybe something was going to happen. So it kind of like, it kind of got me anxious a little bit, because I was like, something's gonna happen here. Like and a lot of the times nothing really happened. It didn't really. It was basically like what I was saying, a drama until like the end of the movie. But I thoroughly enjoyed every moment of this movie.
Yeah.
I really did, and definitely will watch this movie again.
Yeah, me too.
Probably a couple times, because I'm gonna need to do that, because there definitely were questions and there were moments that were like, what? Okay, like the cyclone thing. Like, what does that really mean?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's her spiraling out of control, but we don't. We're speculating at this point.
Right.
There's got to be something else going on That's what I love about these types of movies is there's always something that you're missing.
Yeah.
No matter really how many times you watch it, there's always going to
Yeah.
be something that you're missing.
Yeah.
So I thoroughly enjoyed it
Right.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, even the slower scenes, like you said, you kind of are anticipating something.
You're on edge sometimes.
Yeah, you're on edge. And I think that's the atmosphere that the movie kind of builds. And just some of the stuff that she says, you know, some of the stuff she says is just a little, it's uncomfortable. And being that it is like a pretty heavily religious movie, I would say, you know, one of the characters is very heavily religious. That already is kind of uncomfortable, you know, having conversations
a lot of people,
with people about religion can be uncomfortable. So I feel like those conversations are where the tension is built, even if something doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, something I just thought of that I did want to mention is when she says she feels God. The way that she behaves when she feels him is a little much.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening to her, right? You know, it's very orgasmic, shall we say.
I thought that was a little odd too, and how at one point, like towards probably the beginning of the movie, when she feels it, and so does her patient, I guess. But then turns out that she didn't at all, apparently, even though it kind of looked like she felt it as much as Maud did, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hell of a job acting. That, like, she's pretty convincing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, whoa, okay. This is it's a little
I know.
TV evangelical. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. Okay, so now this is a real spoiler here. So I do want to talk about the end.
Okay.
What did you think of the end? Just to kind of set it up, she kills, what's her name? I can't remember the patient's name, but she kills her.
Yeah.
She goes to her house. Like, this is after she's kind of gone through her binge. She's like, okay, I need to save this girl. So she goes to her house, learns that this patient never felt anything, and, you know, basically doesn't care about being saved, doesn't believe Maud, doesn't even like her. And then the patient just kind of turns into this like possessed.
She's like possessed.
Yeah. Out of like nowhere. And so then Maud stabs her a bunch of times and kills her. And that she feels like that's what she needed to do. She needed to get the demon out of her, you know, and that's how she was going to do it. And so then I think it's like the next scene, she walks out onto this beach and covers herself in gasoline or lighter fluid or something.
On fire.
Yeah, just lights herself on fire. And so she sees the spiral in the sky. She goes out there and she's wearing like this sheet kind of like gown thing that she made. And she's lighting herself on fire, and there's a bunch of people and they're looking at her and they're like, no. But then when she lights herself on fire, she has like these wings and like she's like glowing, and then they all kind of fall to their knees at the same time while they're watching her, almost like they're seeing this angel, you know?
Yeah. But then the very last scene is her screaming.
Yes.
So
The last like literal second of the movie.
last literal second,
like maybe not even a full second.
Yeah, which I think is actually what's really happening.
Yeah.
The whole so the whole last scene, I feel like this is where the mental illness part comes in.
Yeah.
Big time, because I feel like I don't think the patient was actually possessed.
No.
It was all in her mind.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, she's trying to, she's getting rid of the demon that's inside of her by killing her.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the reason it ended the way that it did was that she feels like she defeated the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's going to go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why she chooses to set herself on fire. That's a little extreme. But as far as people, like, when she sets herself on fire, there's this calmness that's over her.
Yeah.
The entire time until that split second at the end there. It's actually really unsettling.
Yeah.
That she's on her way to heaven. In her mind, she has these wings. She's now a saint.
Yeah.
She's now become a saint, and so she's going to go to heaven. And as far as the people on their knees, that was pretty much just them witnessing somebody setting themselves on fire and burning up, and like them not knowing what to do. In her mind, they're all just bending down to her.
Yeah.
When in reality, that's not what's happening.
Right.
They're just in shock that they're actually witnessing somebody doing this.
Yeah.
And then, because if they hadn't added that split second in there, I think a lot of people probably would have taken this a more literal way, as she's actually going to heaven, which would kind of defeat the whole mental illness aspect to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But by adding in that split second there, that's actually that you're seeing what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And not what's in her mind.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how much even a split second can like change.
Right.
Can potentially change somebody's mind about what's going on with a movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I took from it.
Yeah. That's kind of what I thought too. After she kills that lady, she like also is, getting ready to go out to the beach, and she looks in the mirror and she sees that she has wings at that time.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, the angel got their wings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes out there, and I don't know if she's, because if she feels like she's an angel, then she's feeling like she did the right thing, right?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm like, is she, because she's punished herself throughout the movie as well. Mm-hmm. If she feels like she needs to. Like, she'll kneel on rice or put these like...
Oh, she puts like
the pins
nails in her.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So is that what she's doing here? Is she like punishing herself for the sin of murder? So
well, the only reason I don't feel that way is because I feel like in her mind she's defeated the evil that was in that was in the patient, and now the patient's going to go to heaven.
Yeah.
So I don't think that was a punishment for her, that she was doing that to punish herself. I think it was just a way of all right, my work here is done. I can go now.
Right.
I would have chosen the less extreme way of doing it.
Well, maybe it was, but, also she wanted it to be a very public thing, and definitely was. So maybe that was part of it. She wanted everybody to see, her do this. And that last split second was, man, when she's on fire, and it's just because while she's doing this, it's like this, and then it's like all glowy and like almost heavenly looking, and then that last split second it gets to reality, and it's just her screaming, and everybody's like, no, and man, that was rough.
It was.
It felt so real.
Yeah, it did. It didn't last very long, thankfully,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. Um so something I always think about is, within like the Christian religion, there is this idea of Jesus coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the Bible, Jesus or God talks to people and kind of leads them to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's seen as, miracles. And, these characters are making these decisions based on what God is telling them.
Mm-hmm.
So in this day and age, how do
That's
we
deemed
know?
a mental illness.
Yeah. How do
talk
we
to God.
know when, if you believe that those things are real and that God is guiding people, how come he was able to then and it was good, but now it's deemed as mental illness? And if God is talking to people or Jesus is going to come back or whatever, how are we going to believe anybody when they tell us that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are we going to believe somebody if they tell us they're Jesus? Right now, if someone told me that, I would think they're crazy.
Like, yeah, your name's Jesus. Yeah. No.
So it's interesting. And then, you hear about these like crazy people, God told me to do this. Like they drown their kids or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, you're crazy, like,
yeah.
But how do we differentiate what, and you would kind of have to believe in this kind of stuff to be able to really care. Because, I think people who don't believe just think, well, they're crazy, so they're just crazy. But
yeah,
if you do believe,
people who do believe think that way too. A lot of the times,
yeah,
I feel like it's because we only in the Bible, you only read about this stuff from basically the point of view of the people that it's happening to.
Yeah.
You don't. I'm sure there were tons of people that were like, this person's crazy. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's a lot more people in the world today than there was back then.
Sure.
So there's a lot more people that are sort of against it, kind of thinking that you're crazy. And there's like medication for that kind of thing. There's all sorts of things that people have taken to kind of, calm down the voices in their head. Yeah. So it would be a lot harder these days, I'm sure. Even though there were, I'm sure, a big percentage of people back then who didn't believe either, who were just like, they're crazy that they're talking this way. But it's just, there was just, they lived with it. There was nothing that really could be done.
Yeah.
So these days, it would be definitely a lot harder.
Yeah.
To really take that kind of thing seriously and be like, okay, you need to get back on your meds, I think.
Right. Right. And people doing like evil things in the name of God, Yeah. But you think of different religions too, with like, suicide bombings and, things like that. Like, obviously we see that as evil, but, at the same time, how do we know? How do we know? I mean, the Bible talks about things that, not extreme things like that where you're blowing yourself up or whatever, but
sacrifice your only son, sacrifice your son to Abraham type of thing. So.
Right. So I don't know. That's something I always think about. Like if like God were to talk to somebody, how do we know that that's real? If Jesus were to come back, he did
perform miracles through people. So as far as people's, people will believe what they see, as opposed to what they actually, what they think.
Yeah.
So if someone were to, God spoke to somebody and performed a miracle for people, that would be believing through seeing what's going on. So maybe if you did that to a big enough, because it would have to be, to get everybody to believe, you'd have to pretty much be on some, it would have to like millions of people would have to see you do this.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, how do we like kind of do that kind of thing? It's just like that. I feel like that's the only way people are going to actually believe.
Yeah.
Is if they actually see something happen with their own eyes.
Right.
And otherwise it's just a mental illness.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough, you know, because, you know, I think of, I'm sure there's people out there who think that they are Jesus, you know, who think that they're
I'm sure.
the second coming, and how do we know that they're not, you know? But I think you're right. There is, you know, more than just saying it. That
by the same time, if it's shown on TV, there's going to be people who are like, okay, that was, you know, there was something going on with like they edited that differently or something to make it look like that. So how do you get millions of people to see you perform a miracle without it, you know, being on some sort of televised, like, you know, you'd have to even music festivals have like tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people. They don't have millions of people. Yeah. So that's still a very small percentage of people in the entire world. So you'd either have to somehow perform this miracle in front of actual people, to millions of people, like maybe all over the world, to get people to believe. But then that kind of takes away people's right to, if it's shown to you, like it's undeniably shown to you, then that kind of takes the people's right to choose for themselves. Yeah. And
there's that piece too. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what, you know, that's the whole thing, really. Yeah. When it comes down to it, like you're taking away someone's right to choose when you just blatantly show them.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like this movie kind of brought that question to my mind, because I think it's pretty clear as a viewer that this is a case of mental illness. But, you know, at the same time, you know, people really believe this. So, you know, who are we to tell them they're wrong? Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just what it is. So I don't know.
I mean, when they're killing people, that's what. Yeah. That's when it's wrong.
Yeah. I get. She overstepped She crossed the line there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's grade this one.
All right.
What do you think?
So this one is getting a 91.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
That is what I was going to give it.
Oh, really?
So,
for some reason, it was either going to be a 91 or a 93. I'm like, I don't know which one.
Yeah, this one's up there. Up there with one of the best. And,
yeah,
you know, so far this year, we've had Willy's Wonderland. We had Saint Maud.
Wrong Turn.
So 3 pretty good movies.
Yeah.
To start the year off. So I'm impressed. We also had Fear of Rain. Do you want to do an episode on that one? I don't know if that's even horror.
I wouldn't really. It definitely dives deep into the mental illness and everything. I wouldn't really consider it horror. It's more of a drama for sure.
Yeah, so we're starting off the year very, very strong. Hopefully we can keep it going. We've got quite a few coming out this year that hopefully will come out.
Hopefully. We should, no matter what, we should be getting Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about streaming if they can't get in theaters. So
yeah.
I'm hoping that actually happens.
Yes, me too. Oh, and the Conjuring 3. That's going to be
Conjuring
on
3. That will be out no matter
HBO,
what.
Right? HBO Max. So.
Yep. I can't wait for that one either.
Yeah. So stay tuned. Stay locked in to Scare Talk, because we're going to give you all the good new stuff and maybe the bad new stuff. We'll see.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. I'm sure there's going to be some in there.
All right. Well, this has been our episode on Saint Maud, and this has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let Maud out.